Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. We're in our blue period. Bibbs, Alonso, talking about the affair. Let's have a look.
Looks like you got away with it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
No.
I'm being
We don't need it.
blackmailed. He's threatened to tell Helen.
Josh Stamberg.
You act like you guys are this perfect couple when Dad is miserable.
I've been going through something. Not about you, it's about myself.
What am I supposed to do with that?
You ever ask her how she found out, huh?
Looking for the name Soloway.
Mrs. Soloway, this is my wife.
Who's Noah? What?
I have a very pressing question about something that came up on this episode.
What's that?
Were there ever really Oreos like as big as your head
you
that you
know,
could buy? Because that sounds awesome.
I think I missed those. I mean, there were those ice cream ones,
But
and
you
I
can
think they still have those.
Yeah, but they're not as big as your head.
No.
Even when you're a little kid, they're not as big as your head.
Well, nothing was ever big as my head because it's gigantic.
Same here.
But if they would produce such a product, I would purchase them.
Yes, get on it. The affair branded Oreos. I would love
Wow.
that.
Okay, the shit got real this week.
Oh yeah. No.
So much shit. So
Well,
much
you know,
realness.
A lot of times in stories with this sort of relationship dynamic, they get sort of soap operatic, and there's always this sort of how long can we keep the secret?
Right.
And that is the suspense. When is the secret gonna get out? As soon as the affair is over, next episode, everyone finds out.
Yeah.
And that is some of the best stuff this show has done. Just watching how Maura Tierney and Pacey, as he will always be, like how they deal with it
Sure.
in very realistic but very different ways. And like one of the things I loved was how Maura Tierney was more upset about what it did to their friendship. That was the word she used that was
Sure,
really
yeah,
powerful
yeah.
to me, was the idea that we've been doing this, we have kids, we're friends.
And now you've done a thing, and I don't know about it, and I don't want to know about it.
Yeah, I don't want to know about it, but I'm so used to, we know everything about each other, and that's
Yeah.
an inherent part of a mature relationship. And now there's this thing that we can never be on the same page about, and that's the thing that's most upsetting.
Well,
How
and I'll
beautiful
tell
is
you,
that?
look, the Mira Whittingham, Cherry, has it totally right when she says, like, don't tell him, that's selfish.
Well, both of them have friends who say don't tell them. It's
Right,
selfish.
right. Well,
You
well,
know,
but-
as we
but-
learned
yeah,
in
but-
Sex and the City, I wish you would just never told me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Josh
Yeah.
Stamberg is just like, don't tell her just because I'm giving you $10,000, so you don't,
No,
you
I
don't need
think,
to.
I think he even said, like, you know, don't get so emotional that, because I think he even uses the word selfish as well.
Okay,
Because
well, maybe
it's
so.
selfish to have an affair to begin
Yeah,
with.
but
the idea
all
of, like,
you're accomplishing is you're making yourself feel better. It doesn't. The other person didn't need to know, could have happily never known.
Yeah.
And if you're spilling your guts, you're just doing it for your own shit, and that's just worse.
Absolutely.
So all that breaks down, and then we have the detective now appearing. Is this the future? I'm like, I get
See,
confused as to
that's the
where he
thing I'm
is in the
won-
chronology.
See, that's the thing I'm wondering, and this is, now that we are out of them telling their version of the story, to the detective specifically,
Right.
It's raising a lot of questions of when there is a difference or a discrepancy, is that just innocent now, or are they still potentially lying and telling stories? But yeah, we keep coming back to this detective, and it's unclear whether this is before the interviews or after.
Well-
We see him taking pictures of what I presume is the location where the death occurred.
Right.
And then we see him going to the hotel where we saw Noah and Allison stay.
Right. Now, when he goes to the hotel, I figure, okay, well, that's post-interrogation.
Probably.
You know, because he's following up on having asked the guy if he'd ever been there, so he already had some clue that that was a thing that had happened. But the scene where he's sitting in the lobster roll eating, I thought, oh, was he there all along, and now he's just there? Or?
Here's the thing. Noah had only written one book, and it wasn't The Descent.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
he's
that's
reading
what he's
Noah's
reading.
book.
Okay, I
he's
couldn't
reading
tell.
Noah's second
I
book.
couldn't read the thing.
Because his first
Oh.
book was A Man Goes to a Place for Things.
Yeah,
And
right.
like his new second book is The Descent.
Okay, I was looking at the cover because I figured it
you're
was,
right. No,
it
that's
was
gotta
material,
take
but I
place
didn't see
afterwards.
it.
You're right. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Okay.
That's gotta take place
Okay, no,
afterwards.
good. Well, thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome for pointing that out.
So now, all right. So now they know, the spouses know. You know, we don't know if they're going to continue or not. She's clearly like, you know, kind of stalking him a little in New York and then thinking better of it.
Well, I mean, she thought her marriage might be over, so for all she knows, that note might have been him saying he wanted her back.
Sure.
That wasn't necessarily stalking yet. Although showing up at the wife's
store, that was a little weird.
That's a little creepy. And for a while, I was like, is this after she's had that conversation with Noah? Is this just going to be Mara Tierney beating the crap out of her? Because I actually would have loved to see that scene. But instead, she validates that one of those early discrepancies, which is who saved Noah's daughter's life in that diner. And according to Allison's memories of talking to his wife afterwards, it was that. It was Allison who died. I don't even know what to believe anymore.
I know.
Movie, why are you denying my reality?
Such a web of intrigue and deceit.
Web of lies.
It's funny when Maura Tierney asks Noah how old Allison is, and he says like 22. I was like, really?
No, she guesses 22.
Right, but he doesn't correct her, and I thought
I think it's irrelevant. And
I guess, but then I was like, wait, how old is she anyway? Because I mean, on the one hand, okay, she's younger than they are, obviously, and she's had one kid, so she's probably like,
and she went to med school,
right, but
she's got to be at least in her late 20s.
Yeah, but it's just, but she's so sort of womanly, and in a good way, and certainly in the interrogations, she's even more kind of like,
sure,
the lady, and now of course, okay, so maybe she and Pacey never broke up, and maybe that's who she's got with the sitter is their second kid. Who knows? It's funny. I had a conversation. I was at a dinner party last night. We were talking about this show, and somebody was saying they were kind of like, I like it, but I don't love it. And I said, I'm realizing that I'm withholding judgment on this show until I see how they wrap it up.
Because that's really going to make all the difference.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to make all the difference. If this show doesn't stick the landing, it's going to go from what an amazing show to what a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'm talking about. It's like there's so many ways this show could end really badly.
Yeah.
And the one I said is it all turns out to be Noah's book. How fucking lame would that be? Or I don't know, like if it ends with like a Fatal Attraction thing where you find out that Ruth Wilson was lying all the time and she was really crazy and she tries to stab Mara Tierney and then her son, everyone thinks they killed Noah's son, but he just faked his death. That's what that setup was before. And then he comes out at the end and he like jumps on Ruth Wilson's back and he's like writing her out, and then they jump out of the window and okay, admittedly, that would actually be kind of cool.
Are you done?
Yeah.
No, I just, I think a lot of these shows. I mean, yes, you would think you can't really judge them until they're over, and of course, the ending is essential, and in a lot of ways, yes. But I think that for a lot of series like this, even something like True Detective, where the ending was a bit of a letdown, but that didn't diminish.
It didn't invalidate
so much of the other stuff that happens. This one, it really is. I mean, because it's this
we
sort
don't even know what to think right now.
Yeah, because it's this ongoing narrative, and the narrative keeps changing in terms of perspective and what we know and that kind of thing. It really does all kind of boil down to how does it all end.
I would be surprised if no matter how this show ends, it doesn't come across feeling like a twist. Because a twist, if you look at a movie, like say The Sixth Sense, for example, use a popular example, a good twist will recontextualize everything that came before it.
It's not a cheat.
There's a difference between saying, oh, that guy did the murder. Like, that's not a twist. That's just finding out who did it.
Yeah.
Like, a twist will change everything. And when the entire show has been based on mixed perceptions, altered realities, who remembers what, who is right, are they both right, are they both wrong, who knows? If you have any ending that clarifies any of that, you're running the risk of putting some people off because we have our own theories and our ideas and our impressions.
Or worse, if you have an ending that completely ignores that fact and ignores that structure of the two different points of view. You know. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I so far I'm still in. And
I'm still in. We were worried last week because it seemed like it was getting a little off the rails with the whole Coke plot. But fortunately, they pulled it back and made it all about human things again and not about who's got the Coke.
Yeah.
So this was pretty rock solid, and I think this is an episode the show desperately needed to have that episode where the affair comes out. I'm glad they could have saved it for the last episode and have that be the whole point.
Yeah.
And instead, there's more to come, and I'm fascinated with where
and
it's going.
they've really, and we touch on so many characters this week.
Oh, yeah.
Maura Tierney's parents having the thing, and the whole, the...
Oh, that was a great bit.
That was hysterical.
I love how much Noah loved that. Like, I've never seen this happen.
And the kid's like, I don't want to miss this. The whole thing with the Koch brothers. Oh, there we go. I just coined that.
Nice, the Koch brothers.
Figuring it out, they got to sell the house and all their stuff. So this is good stuff.
This is great stuff.
They are taking Thanksgiving weekend off, so we are too. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode, and we hope you'll join us.